We've talked about a little bit about the relationship between tables being really important, but what kind of relationships do they actually have? The first one of those that I'm going to cover is just a one-to-one relationship where you have one row in one table and one row in another. And you kind of go, why would you want to have a one-to-one relationship? And I'll give you a simple example, which we are actually using when we're running this tool itself, and that is that I've used a standard set of code that I have for managing users, and the users have this kind of information in it. It's a bunch with ID, username, password, different things, whether or not the email is confirmed. It supports a number of different security protocols and authentication protocols. And when a new user is created, okay, some of this stuff you've seen before, it creates an authorization token. The authorization token is in a second table, and there's also a log of all of the security activity relating to that login. Now, that doesn't actually support the application and how it uses users, so the first thing that I added to this was this table CT login. CT login, as you see right here, this guy, is got a user ID, and that is the exact same user ID in the user table, in the ihw26 user table. And those two match up. Since it is a primary key, there's no generation of it on this table. The only way it can create this row in this table is to actually use this other ID. And since it is set up as a foreign key to the primary key on that, you get basically a one-to-one relationship. And extending one table with another table by using a one-to-one relationship is pretty common. It's not the most common kind of relationship, but we're also going to look at having other relationships in this set of tables. And we're going to have you run the files. There's a bunch of them for creating this. And when we do, you'll end up with all of these tables. Now, this homework assignment is basically run a bunch of files, get a bunch of tables, and we've got some triggers that work in between the tables. For instance, okay, there is this trigger, homework answer, that has a user ID and a homework ID in it. So that when you have answers to your homework, there's some place to save it on a per user basis. And there is this set of tags. No doubt at some point you've seen that there are tags at the bottom of each homework. There's actually a way to search the set of tags, which is like searching words, but words that are predefined for a particular homework. So there's a table for saving, yes, the tags, which is the tag ID in the word. But as soon as you have tag IDs, you also need a way to relate that back to the homework. And that gives you a tag ID and a homework ID to tie the tags, which are unique, to the actual homework where that tag occurs. So these are the different kinds of things. Now, this particular homework is just a matter of running a set of files, and I've got all the files over here on the menu, and making certain that you created the tables. So there's a setup data 26 at the very end of this that you need to run that actually populates the tables, and it will produce an error if you haven't created all the tables. So run that, get the output from it. If you're missing a table or missing a trigger, it will tell you. But walk down through the list of files and actually just sit here and run all of these files from 1, there's no 13 and 14, to 14. And the 14 is the last little piece that populates all of these. All right.